Hello, and welcome back to the Empowered Resilient Woman, a podcast that supports all women on the journey to becoming their most resilient self in life and business. I'm your host, Kimberly Smith. Okay, so today we have an amazing guest. I am so excited to have with me today and to introduce Dai Smith. Dai Smith is the founder and CEO of Simplicity by Dai. She is a professional organizing and productivity consultant, speaker, 2 times best-selling author, and she helps entrepreneurs and busy professionals who struggle with disorganization be more present, be more productive, be more profitable in their lives, and just really upgrade everything based on their organizational processes and systems. So welcome to the show, Dai. So good to have you.
Yay! Thank you for having me. Hey, girl. Hey, I'm so excited to be here with the resilient, empowered woman and talk to your audience about all the things that involve being resilient and empowered.
Heck yes. Heck yeah. And so, you and I actually just met here in Houston, and I just always think it's funny how people's paths cross. And then I actually attended one of your talks at She Space.
Yes.
And for anybody who follows me, y'all know that I am obsessed with She Space. It is a women-founded co-working space. It just has the coolest people, and Dai is one of the people that I met. And then we actually crossed paths again at I think it was the Women's Council of Entrepreneurs, like a brunch they did.
Probably. Yes, exactly. I forget. Yeah, we were there with each other. Absolutely.
I know. It's like you do a double take. You're like, wait a second. I know
you. Familiar face. Right?
Yeah, it's a small world. I mean, Houston's a huge city, but I just think it's funny how, sometimes you just find yourself in the circle of the same people. And so yeah, have you been in Houston all your life? Did you grow up here?
No, I actually grew up, born in Memphis, but I was raised in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And then right after college, me and my fiance at the time, we relocated to Houston just for job opportunities. And so I've been here for 15 years and I love it. I feel like this is my city, this is where I feel like this is my home for my family. So I love it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'm a transplant too. I mean, I'm from upstate New York, and I agree, right? There's just something about Houston and the people here, and maybe just because there are a lot of transplants and, people are just a little bit more open to networking and just meeting people and making friends.
It's so diverse. It's so diverse. You can get everything you need here. And you don't feel like I don't think you run into people who aren't as down to earth as you would want. And the Southern hospitality is still there, so I like that.
Well, I mean, yes, this podcast is a great platform. And I immediately honestly thought about you because just your vibe, from the moment that we met, I just felt like we had a good synergy going.
Yes.
And organization, what you do professionally is such a key part of resilience and mental health and just helping us really feel at ease in our life. There's so many moving parts to adulting and motherhood and business that I honestly think that organization is a foundational piece of that. So, before we kind of get into that area, I want to, just find out, was this the vision that you had for yourself growing up? What did you think life had to be? Because, we really here on the podcast, one of our themes is embracing the evolution through womanhood, through life, because we change so drastically.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting to think or to look back really and be like, just kind of take inventory. Is this what I thought life was going to be like? How did you get to where you are now? And how did you try to become what you thought you may have had to be?
Yeah. So fortunately for me, even though I had a very humble upbringing, I was raised by a single parent. I was exposed to crime and just abuse and adultery, all the things that make you grow up faster.
Sure.
But one thing that my mom, my family, the strong women in my life, they did was they really instilled hope and faith in me to where I felt like I could do and be anything. They really doted on me. I was the baby of the family. I was the baby cousin. I always felt so loved and so not exalted, but just doted on like anything I wanted to do. And so I grew up with this false sense of optimism, I say, because I'm like, I can do anything I put my mind to. And I was smart, and I'm like, okay, I found like education was my way to achieve, so achievement became huge for me. It was like my value proposition for myself. And I thought I could do anything. I wanted to be a vet, a lawyer, a businesswoman. I didn't know about entrepreneurship. I didn't really understand what that looked like, but I knew that whatever I wanted to do, I could do it. And so I grew up with that strong sense of hope in myself, and anything I wanted to do, whether it was being the president of an organization.
Yeah, so you grew up with confidence. You grew up with confidence. Yes, I feel like that's such a gift.
Yeah, in my family, I was just sent a text this morning because that culture of support and encouragement is so strong in my family. And I know that that's not always the case. You don't always get support. You don't always get, sometimes you get the opposite. Like the people closest to you don't support you. And I was just like, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for that foundation. Yeah. And I want to continue to, I can be there for others. I definitely want to pour into my daughter and my son to know that is, the way that I would want them to grow up. And so that wasn't the life I imagined, but I guess it kind of was. If I say I want to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to do it because that's kind of my pattern.
Yeah. So you were really achievement focused. And I mean, I know when we've spoken on other occasions, you've even described yourself as kind of being a little bit obsessed with achievement in the past. Like, do you think that worked against you at all? I mean, did you feel like that kind of, because I know for myself, for, other people, I had my sister on the podcast last week. She talked about sometimes, her focus on achieving has kind of taken away from other areas of her life. But for you, what was your experience?
No, that statement from your sister really resonated with me because it's a double-edged sword, because you have a high achievement capacity, but then it also works against you because if you don't achieve or you don't get something, then you are the hardest person on yourself. And so the guilt, the shame, the resentment, the regret all comes down heavy on me, at least when I don't achieve, when those goals aren't accomplished, because it's like my pattern is a pattern of achievement. And if I feel like I'm not achieving, what does that say about me, my value, my worth? And it's a false sense of reality because you're not going to achieve everything. And achievement it's not really a tangible thing for you to say, okay, this means something to me. But it still is such a big priority that I'm working on the balance, to be honest. I'm working on the balance.
Fleeting. We get that kind of dopamine high, like we're like when we've like, oh my God, I've made it. Right. And like, how long does that last? Whether that's, accomplishing a project or like really, getting that promotion at work or whatever it might be that you're going after. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, well, what next? Right. How do we make those moments last? Yeah.
And I remember at the guests during COVID or just in motherhood, I think about people who say, listen, if the kids didn't die today, if everybody ate, everybody woke up, ate and didn't fall off the couch or whatever and bump their head, that's achieving the goals for the day. So I think we even have to like just rearrange what we feel like achievement is. If you got up and did the laundry or whatever, went to work and came home and fixed dinner and that's it, honey, you
are winning. Yes.
You're winning. Okay.
Totally. Absolutely. I know we don't give ourselves credit for the things that we do, especially all of the things. When we look at our day, like we are doing so much stuff.
Yes.
We are stretched thin. I hear that from so many women that they but how often do we really sit and absorb that? That's why I love my quiet time in the morning, because I can really reflect on yesterday, the day ahead, really think about the week that I've had. And it's like, man, all right, I am like kicking ass. All right, let's do this. It kind of gets you amped up for the day.
Yes. Yes.
So, you've achieved a lot of things in your personal life and your professional life. Did you have any moments that kind of shook you awake awakening moments where you're like, yeah, I gotta get that together. I gotta get my stuff in line, right? Or you felt like you were maybe off track a little bit.
Yeah, in my adult life, the one, I think, defining moment happened when, like, again, I'm used to achieving. My husband and I struggle with infertility. Couldn't achieve pregnancy,
Yeah.
carrying a baby. It really felt like a huge letdown because I did everything the right way. I got
Sure.
married, got a job. I, did all the things. It was a planned thing. It wasn't an accident. I'm wanting to start a family, and I couldn't. It was something out of my control, and so the control freak in me struggled with that. And so,
Yes.
but really, what it taught me, because in the process of infertility, I had a loss, and so it taught me about grief. It taught me about vulnerability, being vulnerable with my network, my husband at the time, and accepting something that is not planned, because in actuality, the timing of when my son actually came, my firstborn, it was better. It was perfect timing than when I originally was trying to get it, pregnant and everything. And so that shook me up because that really shifted the way I really hadn't been through, well, I had been through heartache, but I guess as an adult, that really changed my perspective on how to approach things and what to expect from myself. And yeah, I mean, and honestly, made me appreciate just the journey of motherhood. I took for granted how difficult it is to conceive, carry, birth, deliver healthy babies. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. We think it's going to be so easy and that it's just going to happen.
And I'm like, man, I'm glad I went through that before I went 10 years of this false impression of that whole journey, and have a lot of compassion for women who are going through it. And it actually has made me be an advocate for a lot of women. They knew that I went through it, and now they had someone who they can go to and understand. So yeah, that was one of the biggest, I guess, that shook me up, biggest moments that shook up my life as an adult, for sure.
Yeah. I think when we do go through disappointment like that, and we try to outsmart disappointment a lot, right? Because of that control factor, because we are, so trained that if we do everything right, if we do the things that we're supposed to do, then the outcome is sure to always be favorable. And the thing is, it's not always going to be favorable. And we can't outsmart disappointment. And certainly with things like that, yeah, I think about how we women, right? We spend so much of our lives trying not to get pregnant.
Right.
And how ironic that then when we do, right. And I know a lot of people who have struggled with infertility, and but man, what a mind F, right? That it just
that's the word
I know. All right, we could say it's a mind fuck, right? You literally spend all your life trying not to get pregnant,
not to,
and trying to be so safe. And yes, you said, planning for it, right? Because we've been scared to death over having an unplanned pregnancy, which, when it comes down to it, God, isn't the end of the world either, right?
No.
You make it work, and it's always it's a gift. If it's meant to be, it'll be, right. But I can imagine. I mean, infertility is definitely something that so many women are experiencing. And it is a vulnerable topic. I mean, it does. I have a lot of close friends who have shared that they just felt totally that they couldn't fulfill their duty as a woman. Right?
Woman. Yeah.
And that's exactly heavy.
That's how it feels, so yeah. But that has been a huge learning lesson, and very needed in my journey to be where I am today, for sure.
Sure. Good. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously there were some mindset shifts there about just really understanding grief and not, and having faith, right? It sounds like that's where your faith really was put into practice even more, was that you had to trust that the timing of it all was going to work out. And it sounds like it really did.
Yeah. I always go back to that moment and say, oh, I remember when I didn't have faith, and look how it worked out. So, this struggle I'm going through, I'm faithful that it will work out too. I'll look back and say, "Oh my gosh, that's what that was." That's like
Mhm.
the amazing part about life, right? Just being able to
Sure.
go back and reflect, be grateful. So yeah,
Sure.
absolutely.
What would you tell somebody who's like in a period of their life where they're feeling, whether maybe they're going through one of those struggles, or maybe they're going through a disappointment, or they're struggling to feel empowered?
Mm. You know, we say this a lot in my family that this too shall pass.
Mm,
You just keep living. This too shall pass. It's not easy. Be okay with the grief. Be
yeah.
okay with the sadness. Be okay with the disappointment. Don't try to, like you say, override it or push it off. But this too shall pass. I saw a quote in one of my offices that was saying that life is hard, but you're strong. I got to look at it. I'm getting it all
Yeah.
wrong. But basically, you can handle it. Everything you have with to handle it is within you, whether you know it or not. I believe
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah. My
Mhm.
therapist said that to me the other day. I
See,
mean,
there you go.
I, I was all up in my feelings, and I was
Yeah.
like, trying to figure out, right? Like, again, how do I put the pieces together so I
Hmm.
can get to the other side? And,
Yeah.
so often it's like, well, can you be okay with not being okay? Can you be okay with feeling sad, feeling
Yeah.
disappointed? Can
Yeah.
you understand that, like, this is temporary, and maybe you're not doing anything wrong per se, but it's
Yeah.
kind of waiting
Yeah.
for things to shift.
Yeah. And it's hard in it. I mean, no one could tell me anything when I was going through infertility that
Mm,
comforted me. No one can
I'm sure.
probably tell you anything when you're going through it. So it is hard to give advice. It's hard to say, "Oh, this too shall pass," or when you're
Right.
in the thick of it. It just takes practice and just being there. You will come out. Um, the one thing I can say is be vulnerable again with the people around you who see that you're doing these things or like fall into some sort of pattern that
Yeah,
can be there for you to help talk to you, therapist, whoever, bring you out because you will need that help or support.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I know that, you and I have talked before. We have a lot in common in our path into entrepreneurship,
Hmm.
right? And, you went through a layoff. I went through a layoff. There was a time where, you mentioned things were really rocky, at home, with
Hmm.
your marriage. I, of course, have gone through that, had a divorce.
Hmm.
How did you get through that tough time? How did you get a grip on what was really important so that you could rise above it all and maybe just turn it into something positive?
Mm. Um, for the journey to entrepreneurship, so I made the mistake of jumping in without really clearing it with everybody in the house. How you feel about this? I didn't ask those questions. I was like, this is what I want to do. My pattern, I want to do it, it's happening. And
Mm-hmm.
so that went on for a while, and that was not honestly fair to my spouse. It wasn't fair
Mm,
that I didn't check in and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm spending my time and my resources, and this is
right.
why. So the way that I think I overcame that is I started seeing other people actually at She Space. There was a launch that we had, a book launch. I started seeing other couples who had a similar path, who had a wife who was on this journey, a husband who was very similar to mine, a corporate guy, 9 to 5er all day, every day. And they
Sure.
talked about their story and how they came through on the other side. And really it came by communication. And so I didn't learn this until last May or March when the event was about really sharing with him about what this journey is. Why am I doing this? What does it mean to me? What are my plans? Because I'm thinking he's going to be okay with it because my intentions are good. But no,
Right.
I felt like I needed to bring him in to the business and to my mindset on why I'm doing this and include him because he is my partner. And he should be
Yeah.
my partner in business, whether or not he's, in there organizing with me or not.
Yeah. Even if
And
it's a
so
silent partner.
even as the silent partner. So now
Yeah.
that I go to him, because a lot of times, a lot of my stress comes from the business too. So he wants to know what's going on. Why am I having struggles? I include him on a lot of things, whether or not he understands all the ins and outs. I mean, he doesn't know about systems and stuff, but I talk to him about what my plans are, how it's going to impact the family, the household, where I'm spending money, any decisions I'm making that cost a certain amount. I'll go
Right.
to him, and he's a good sounding board. He is not an entrepreneur, but he is
Right.
very savvy and practical. And so he's actually a good person to talk to. Who knew I had this resource in the house with me?
Sure, right? I mean,
I
what a
never knew.
positive person to have like as an advisor. And I think that that is
Exactly.
a lot of times what we want as an entrepreneur because man, I mean, I don't know about you, Day, but I get decision fatigue. Like I am just by the
Same.
end of the week, by the end of the month, sometimes I'm just like, I just don't want to decide. Can somebody else help me
Yes.
make this
Yes.
decision?
I know. And then you just procrastinate. You're just like, I'm gonna wait on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, so that's how we kind of got through it, is bringing him in, communicating, bringing
Mm,
him along for the ride. And it's helped him evolve because he wasn't like gung ho, like, oh, my wife's an entrepreneur. The man,
yeah.
no one knew anything that
I
from him. Not that this is a big deal, but never shared anything on social media. You never. And then once I started to bring him in and actually said, like, I need you. I
right.
showed him that he was needed, and it's not like your girl is doing her own thing. Like if there's a big moment, I want you there with me. It's important for me. I need you there.
Sure.
So now he is like, he's a supporter. He doesn't shout it from the rooftop. That's not his style anyways, but he is definitely
Your
there
biggest fan, I'm
my
sure.
biggest fan, supporting me in the ways that he knows how,
Oh my
in the
gosh.
ways that he knows how. And so that's what changed. And I
Sounds like
just would
it's
say,
really
that's
brought
what
you guys closer,
it
even.
has. It has. It has. So I think it either brings you closer or makes you,
Yeah.
kind of distant with entrepreneurship because of what it takes. It's like another child in the house, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm sure there can be some tense moments too, right? And I know, as I'm been sharing things with my partner, Aziz, and everything, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, they don't understand everything. So sometimes like even the questions that they ask, they may, it might feel like, gosh, they don't understand, right? So there's
Yeah.
some challenges
Yeah.
in really like connecting, right, in a
Yeah.
meaningful way and
Yeah.
being intentional about communicating and then making sure like, yes, there's nothing that's getting miscommunicated and there's no
Yeah.
misunderstandings, right? Like it's such a practice in just understanding each other. And
Yeah.
once you do, then yeah, you can be better supported. Everybody can feel better supported. And
Hmm.
that's so beautiful.
Exactly. Yeah.
So your business idea, or when you started your business, at
Hmm.
least, how did you make your way into the world of professional organizing? I mean, I think
Okay.
it's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. So my mom is actually the OG organizer.
Oh,
She is
okay.
like that person you could say, where is this? She knows. She's always been that way. So that's kind of how I grew up, very structured as much as she could be, with our lifestyles. And so I kind
Sure.
of picked up that from her. And then when there was chaos in my life or this disruption, I created structure too. That's kind of how I set up my mind and my space. And so I went to school, I went to college, and I realized that there were people who didn't grow up like that. They were very disorganized and junky, to be honest. And so I would, tell my friends, let's go to Target and get some bins. Let's go
Right.
get
Sharing
this,
a dorm room will really give
right?
you
Like, you
some
know what?
insight
We may
into
need to get some
people.
bins because yeah. So I would go and do that, and just for fun. And then it evolved into a work study job where I was filing and, keeping things in order. That involved into me actually exploring this center
Mm.
for entrepreneurs at my school. They had like a grant or funding around entrepreneurship. So I walked in there, and that professor's office was a mess. So I was like already judging him. But the one thing he said was, there's an
Love it.
organization of organizers that's national. It's called the National Association of Professional Organizers. Now it's called
Wow.
Productivity and Organization, but that was the name 15 years, 20 years ago. And so I was like, oh my God, there's people who do what I like this is
Yeah.
thing. And so he connected me with them. And I knew in the back of my head that was going to be my thing.
Mm.
I just I graduated, and I was like, I need to get this corporate job, pay off these student loans and get myself established, some
Hell
structure, right?
yes, girl.
I
Hell
was like,
yes.
I don't know about this. I got things to do. So I took my corporate job. I worked. We talked about the layoff. So when that happened, I had already started in my head to plan out my business. As a matter of fact, when my daughter, I had just had her and I was like, okay, on maternity leave, I'm going to get certified. I'm going to do this, this, and that. I don't know why I thought I had all this time on maternity leave, but
No.
I did get some of that done. So I was kind of easing my way into it. But when I got laid off suddenly, I was like, I was upset. I was disappointed, but it also gave me this push. Like God had to like take that away for me to
Yes.
like step out. And I remember the day that I got laid off was August 15th. And by September 15th, I had my LLC.
Hell yes.
I
I
was
love
like,
it.
all right, we're not, but
Mhm.
I ended, I got my LLC. I talked to a marketing guy I met. I was like, okay, let's get a website. Let's get this stuff going. I need some things in place.
Mhm.
I started right away and I had my first client in October, my first paid client.
Amazing.
Yes. And so I had her and it just kind of took off from there. I did end up going back to work because the opportunity came and I was like, okay,
Sure.
we're going to have this cushion here.
Yep.
And so now my job is my investment partner. Because
Absolutely.
I
Yes.
work it, I prioritize it, but I also have this business that I'm equally as passionate about, probably more passionate about, if I'm being honest,
Yeah.
that allows me to pour out my creative ingenuity into whatever I wanted to do can be accomplished in my business. Write a book, be a speaker, start a podcast, blah, 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 can be accomplished in this business. And so now the business is something that came from me. This idea came from, back in college. I'm able to bring my family in, grow it, inspire people in a big way. And so that's how it's evolved. And that's where I'm at. And I'm learning every day. I don't have all the answers, but it's definitely my path and it's something I want to continue to do. So
Yeah, I love, I just, everything that you have shared resonates. I mean, it was very similar for me where I got laid off and in the moment, right, I was like, all right, well, we start in this, right? It's getting the DBA, getting the LLC, right? And not really having a plan up front. And I think that's such a misconception with, maybe, I mean, there's so many people who have gone into entrepreneurship, especially since the pandemic. And I think there's a lot of people watching and maybe even listening here who have this misconception that, God, like it's probably so much work up front. You probably need so much money up front. You really don't, I mean, most of the women that I know and myself included, right? It was very DIY, right? Like there are so many resources that can help you get things set up. And likewise, once you do, right, you can outsource so many things. You're not necessarily doing all of it yourself.
Yeah.
And, I think for people working in corporate, and I've certainly worked my fair share, it's like, we feel like we're going to get all of our satisfaction from that work life. And when it comes down to it, a lot of people just don't, right? Like a lot of times it is just paying the bills or it is supporting us and giving us benefits and all of these, a lot of important things. And like you said, it can help fund your dreams. It can help be that investment, cash flow so that you can outsource things and, still have this, your passion project on the side and a plan B and another revenue stream.
Another revenue. I remember thinking I never want the man to be the sole decision maker in how I'm going to provide for my family.
Right.
Because that's what it was. I was the breadwinner. I'm like, I had the insurance. I'm like, oh my God, like what I got to find a job, and I'm like, I don't want anybody to put me in that position again. I mean, I want to have an avenue to be able to provide for my family, and so that was another driving force for sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, absolutely.
So when your clients come to you, what are they really coming to you for? Like, what do they want most assistance with? And, I ask this question because, a lot of my clients actually, one of the, because I'm stress and mindset and resilience. And, a lot of times the root cause of their stress has something to do with organization, right? Something in their life feels chaotic. And maybe that's, relationship based, but maybe, or job based, but maybe it's just, organization. Like maybe their house is just not really a sanctuary for them. What are some symptoms of really knowing that maybe someone needs to look at working with a professional organizer like yourself?
Yeah. So I like that you use symptoms, because I think that's where people will be with. These are the things they'll feel and observe to know they need help. So they have experienced some shame or guilt around their environment. They are overwhelmed with their lifestyles. They feel like they cannot manage it themselves. They see chaos and it impacts their mental space. It impacts their physical space, obviously, and it impacts relationships. The chaos does. They are distracted. They are resentful sometimes in what the decisions that they've made, whether they've bought something or they've not been able to do something. So the guilt and resentment is there. And a lot of times they are just wanting to have some peace and some balance in their lives, and they don't see the path there. They don't see it. And so the organizers, the professionals, anyone that you are bringing in to assist you should be able to give you that path, which is strategy, which is, step by step. Because
like knowing
you're
where to
here,
start. Yeah.
You're here, yes. And you want to get there. You just don't know how. So you're missing the how. And if you feel like you're missing the how, then that is where you want to bring in anyone to get you that how, to get you that process to get where you want to go. And it is not a waste of time or money at all, because that is worth so much more than any dollar amount. It really is, about who you hire. Who I hire a cleaning lady or company. I pay extra for grocery pickup. I pay for someone to wash my car, because my time is more important than the cost.
Yeah.
My energy is more important than the cost. And so that is the way you evaluate the investment. Is you're not wasting anything if that is what you need. You need that how, And so those are the symptoms to know if you need to bring somebody in to help you. Ain't no shame.
So many people feel guilty too about outsourcing things and using resources, right? And for sure, there is an investment. And I think it's very smart to be mindful of our money and know where our money is going. But on the flip side of that, right? I think that a lot of times our money goes to things that really aren't bringing any value to our life, and everything's perspective, right? I think if something brings you joy, great, spend money on it. But it's great to evaluate too. And the expenses that you have or how you're spending your money today doesn't mean that that has to be how you're spending your money tomorrow, right? So, maybe you cut back on something for 1 month so that you can invest in a service like this, which is going to bring you so much more clarity and peace and mental just space. 100%, I say, yes, outsource it. And then I love knowing when I outsource to any professional that I'm supporting a small business. I'm supporting somebody's dream, somebody like myself who is out there, in the trenches of entrepreneurship, right? But they're trying to they are bringing value to people's lives and saving so much time and energy. So
I would say, since we're on the Empowered Resilient Woman podcast, the number one thing that comes from the output you get from working with me or working with an organizer is the empowerment. Every single person who I've worked with felt like they were able to do something now that they're organized. They can maintain their closet. They can maintain their laundry room. They can create better meals for their family. It's like you feel like you can do something now that is clear. That's empowerment. That comes with 100% of the people I work with. 100%. So
feeling
yeah.
more confident, feeling more in control, feeling more inspired.
Yes.
I mean, empowered. I mean, I love, everything is subjective. I love asking people, what their, what does empowerment really mean to them? So this is really great that we're talking about it. And it's so many things, but yes, being confident that you can figure things out, feeling like nothing's holding you back from doing something or having something that you want.
Yes, that is it. And that clutter, that can hold you back. Let's be honest.
Any day of the week. Yes.
Yes.
For sure. And it could be totally unrelated, right? It could be like, gosh, I feel like I can't switch jobs until my house is in order, right? They're two completely
or my
different.
email, I can't give anybody this email. This is embarrassing.
Yeah.
I can't find my passwords, those things.
Right. And you're right. It's not just physical clutter or physical spaces, it's digital as well. And that's something that you help your clients with. And I mean, gosh, yes. I mean, what are some actionable first steps that people could take to start getting organized, maybe physically and digitally, right? I don't know if you've got some, a few physical or a few digital ones that you want to share.
Yeah. So the easiest thing to do is to share the process I use. They're both 4 steps. So if you take this and you implement it in physical or digital, it should help you. So the physical side, I use this process called the CARD process, CARD. So you do 4 things to organize, declutter any space. You clear the clutter, taking everything out. You assess what you have and allocate it in piles, or you allocate it to another space, or trash, or recycle, or whatever. Assess and allocate. And then you repurpose and redesign. So sometimes the space that you have is not set up for how you really want it to be, how your flow, your function. You may have a linen closet that actually should be a storage closet for your kids' play stuff. Your office may need to also be a craft room. You repurpose and redesign.
Right.
You get tools that fit you. So you can buy new things, you can build, you can repurpose things to fit what you really need in your space. And then you decorganize. So this is decor and organize. So I'm a big proponent of adding a little flair, adding a little aesthetics, because if it reflects your style, you're going to be more apt to keep it that way. You're like, oh, I like this. It's pretty. I like this.
Yeah, it's cute. It's organized. It's functional.
You're going to cherish it. Exactly. So the last step is decorganize. That's like putting it all together. So that's the physical card process. I call it the simple card process. Patent pending.
Yes, right.
And then the next one for digital organizer is called the A4 process. So the A4 process is similar. So first thing you do, you address the clutter. So with digital space, you're like, okay, where is the clutter coming from? Is it coming from email? Is it coming from my digital files? Is it coming from things other people send me? So you really look at where is the bottleneck. So you address the clutter. And then you assess it also, and you allocate it as well. Assess and categorize, I'm sorry. And you look at, okay, where can I condense things? Where do I need to make categories? Because a lot of times our digital space, we're getting files. Say you're getting a file you download on your computer. It's called some random letters and numbers. Right. We don't know what that is. It's lost on our desktop. You really want to find out, sort through and find out, okay, what are the files that need to be grouped together, right? And then you automate it. Right. So then once you address and you categorize and you allocate, you want to automate things so that you don't end up in the same place you were last year. So automation is going to help maintain and sustain organization digitally. So now you have a system for filing, a system for retrieving things, a system for delegating and automating, and all that can be done through technology. Really, you can use technology to your advantage to take away some of the things that you have to do manually, so it goes automatically to places and files and processes, so that it can free up time and space, and you're not again in the same situation later. So the A4 process, a little bit more technical, but it operates similarly to the physical process, and you use technology in order to achieve organization. So that is what I would say for that. And all of that is actually
so helpful.
Yeah, on my website, if you want to read through it, what it looks like. So yeah.
Definitely. And we're going to link all this in the show notes for sure, so that you know exactly how to get in touch and people can find your website and resources and all of that great stuff.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yay.
Thank you so much, Day. I mean, we've got some, lightning round questions to kind of wrap
Okay.
up today's episode. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm excited. Okay, let's
All
go.
right. So, yeah, I mean, what are 3 words that really describe you today? 3 characteristics that you're really proud to be.
This was given to me one of my mentors, so I'll use these because I feel like they resonate with me. Passion, poise, and purpose.
I love
Passion, poise, and
those.
purpose. Yeah.
Passion, poise, and purpose. Yes. And I would highly agree. Oh my gosh. Just knowing
Thank
you,
you.
yes, all of those, 100%. Patience, humility, and surrender. These are things like just core principles and things that I know have helped guide me through my journey through womanhood and just really decompressing, right? Like when I'm stressed out, when I'm in a tough moment, right? I kind of come back to these 3 pillars. Which one do you struggle with the most? Patience, humility, or surrender?
Ooh, which one?
Yeah, I know, right? It's really tough to pick. Just they're all hard.
I think patience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting
That seems to
it
be the
out.
consensus.
I'm wanting to control the situation.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And
Always.
patience, yeah, for sure. That would be the one that I'm a work in progress there.
Yes. Awesome. How are
Yeah.
you committed to being resilient and being a resilient woman?
How am I committed to being resilient? Ooh, you know what? This year I have been on a wellness journey, and I feel like that is my commitment to resilience. In order for me to continue to be and perform and deliver, I have to take care of myself first, right? And so I feel like that is my commitment to resilience, is to focus on wellness, focus on self-care, so I can continue to be and give at a high capacity and continue along this tough journey of entrepreneurship. So
I
focus on
agree.
self-care.
I mean, what we're capable of, I feel like we have just really scratched the surface of knowing, what we're capable of physically, right? And mentally and how we can really, like, I'm obsessed with biohacking. Like,
What is that?
so it's like there's a bunch of it's basically how do you optimize your human performance?
Biohacking.
Right. So like, sleep obviously is something, nutrition, different supplements, red light therapy, like there's all types of different like modalities.
Biohacking. Okay.
Yeah.
You got to send me some notes on this
I
biohacking. I want to know.
What do you love about being a woman?
Oh, we're magical.
Mhm.
We're
We are.
magical. I often lean on, I say black girl magic, I say boss girl magic. I just feel like we're magical. The things we're able to do. Let's just start with the whole, what I talked about earlier, birthing children. That gift, that
Oh
is
my gosh.
magical. The things your body can do, right? Let's start there. But also even if you don't have children, the things that we're able to carry, I just feel like our cups are so large, be able to carry our capacity. I love that about being a woman. I like that people doubt us. They don't think we can do certain things, and we show up and we show them, yes, we can. And so we make things better when we in the relationships that we're in. We make our spouses better. We rear our children. We know how to have lasting, great, thriving friendships.
Yes.
Having daughters and women in the family is like what is the glue that keeps them together.
It really is. I mean, we are dynamic. We're really dynamic. Are. Oh my gosh.
Magic,
so many unique, like, just, God-given gifts and talents, right?
Yes.
So, and we tend to underestimate that. Other people tend to underestimate that. And when you're able to really show up and see that impact, it is 1,000% magical. I could not agree more.
Yep.
What are you reading or watching or listening to? What's bringing you joy in your downtime?
Oh, okay. So I'm a serial reader. Well, I like read a book, stop. I'm reading The Audacity of Queen.
Oh,
I forget the author, but The Audacity of Queen. It's like walking to your queendomhood
I
and
love
embracing
it.
that. One of my mentors gave it to me. I'm reading Obama's new book. It's like super thick.
Is it?
Um, what is the name of his new book, girl? I can't even remember, but it's good. It's about his journey and walking to, the presidency. I read Michelle
Yeah.
Obama's book. I loved her book. So
Becoming,
I'm
yes.
reading Becoming. I'm reading, and her next book will be next. So I'm reading those two right now. I'm also reading a book on productivity
Love it.
as well. What brings me joy? I'm rediscovering my joy of reading because man, I was an avid reader as a kid. I would be like stuck in a corner, like absorbed. My son is a great reader. He learned to read early. So right now, 2 nights a week, him and I, he's 7. We sit in his
Oh,
bed and we read until he wants to go to bed. Like
I
it can
love
be
it.
30
That is
minutes
just
or
precious.
15 minutes. And my little one, my 4-year-old comes in and try to crash the party, which is fine. But like it's our bonding time. And I'm appreciating that because I'm sharing this joy
Mm,
of reading with him. He's at the age where he doesn't have a whole lot of similar interests as me. He's all about sports and video games, and that's not what I do. So it's a
sure.
way for us to reconnect. So he
Love it.
brings me joy. My daughter, who is 4, she's a mini me and a mama's girl, 100%. So having her and I share like our love of music and songs, and we like drive
Oh,
the boys crazy singing. We love to sing. And
yes.
so I love that she likes that. And she brings me joy. Um, and just I'm really grateful for this journey that I'm on where I'm discovering myself. It's building my relationship with my husband to be stronger. I talked about vulnerability and communication. Show me what a real marriage looks like because I didn't grow up seeing a healthy marriage. And it's
Hmm.
helping me to be able to see what that looks like. And this partner that I have, he's amazing. And I'm like, he brings me joy because he's evolving and I'm evolving and we're on the same path, which is amazing because that doesn't happen to
It's
be
so
together so
beautiful.
long and
Yes.
not driving us crazy. Our relationship brings me joy too. So the unit that I have in my household is my everything, my why. And I'm grateful that I can be myself, express myself, and have connections with each person individually. And that keeps me going. So
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, that is so, so beautiful. It really is. Like,
Thank you.
I mean, it's just like warming my heart over here, Day.
Oh,
Because yeah, and I think, I mean, me too. Like, I didn't grow up seeing a super healthy marriage, right, or relationships, and
Mhm.
it is a lifelong journey, I think, to really educate yourself, to take these things into your own hands, to practice, right? And when you can evolve alongside your partner, you always hear things like, when you're married, like two become one, and like, and it's like, no, like you are two individual,
Two
separate
different things.
cosmic beings.
I don't believe that
No, I
now,
know,
but
but
I
people
do
think
think
like you just like mash into like one person and
I
like,
don't want to mash. I want to be
no,
me and I want him to be him and I want us to be a team and a
right.
partnership and help each other grow. I mean, like you need diversity
Together,
in your relationship.
separately.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
We're
yes,
on the same page there.
I agree. Well,
Yeah.
I cannot thank you enough for being here. How can people connect with you? Please share, what services you're currently offering and how people could even
Yeah.
work with you.
Yes. So I am all about purposeful productivity. And so I am offering opportunities to really look at how you can be more productive in a purposeful way that makes you more
Mhm.
present, that makes you more, again, productive and more profitable for the business owners, especially. And so for us, that looks like working in a group coaching, getting in a group container where you're learning as a group and you're getting resources and information on how to be more productive. So I offer group coaching and additionally offer one-on-one VIP days where we dive into your disorganizational challenges and figure out how you can be more productive and present and really be more empowered and resilient. And
Hell yeah.
so the group coaching, the VIP, I'm also launching a podcast.
Yes.
It will be launching soon. And so if anyone is interested in learning about the group coaching, the VIP day, the podcast, or anything else that I have, you can visit my website at simplicitybyday.com on there. You can connect with me one-on-one to set up a call. You can join my newsletter where we're telling you about all the things going on so you don't miss a thing, as well as texting as well, automated texts that come out and update you. And then you can follow me on all the socials at Simplicity by Day. So IG, TikTok, Facebook, all of those things. And love to just connect with other mompreneurs, other professionals, so we can encourage each other to just live our best lives.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Thank you. And we will put all of that in the show notes for everybody so that they can find your contact information, so that they can connect with you, visit your website, all the things. Thank you so much for being here, Dai. And thank you to everybody who has listened. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to take a screenshot, share it to social media, and tag me at kimberly.brooke.smith so I can repost and say thank you. And send to a friend. If you think that they would enjoy it, definitely know that I appreciate it so much, and keep shining. And we will see you next time in the next episode. Bye.